Hello, today in this video I am going to tell you about an important theory, that is literary theory. Literary theory, and the literary theory is a new criticism. I think every literature student must know about the theory, that is new criticism. New criticism, new criticism is a literary theory that tells us how to analyze a text. So the so new criticism in i- new criticism started in 20th century in America, and after America it spread among many countries of the world. So basically, I'm going to tell you about what is new criticism and what are the characteristics of new criticism. According to new criticism, a text should not be judged based on historical, political, and social context. A text should not be judged based on the authorial intent, and many of you will be confused what is authorial intent. When we try to get the intention of author in the text, it is called authorial intent, and we try to know the historical, political, and socio background of the text. If we start analyzing a text based on these, like social, historical, and political context, so sometimes it becomes difficult to get objective result of the text. So new criticism was a response to the histor- historici- historicism. So it was ba- basically a an opposition to the a literary theory that is called historicism. Earlier, earlier the readers try to judge a work based on the historical or political context, but the new critics found that the judging a text based on authorial or historical, political, or socio context, it is not good, because if we judge a text based on authorial intent or historical or political context, we are unable to get the objective meaning of the text, and it is become a subjective reading. So new criticism promoted the interpretation of the text, or the meaning of the text, should be based on an objective approach, and the meaning should be objective, and so the other who want to know about the text will be able to understand the objective meaning of the text. So we can say that new criticism is a theory that try to bring objective in the text, and it encourage the reader to judge a text based on its devices, like symbol, or any paradox, ambiguity. So new criticism says that a literary work should be judged on the basis of the uses of figure of speech or literary devices such as irony, metaphor, symbol, paradox, ambiguity, etc. So, if we use these devices to judge a text, it becomes objective, and this kind of judging a text based on literary devices is called the objective judgment. And objective judgment is also important for the reader. So, I am going to tell you about the features of new criticism. The first feature is that the text should be autonomous. So, this point says that the text should not be judged based on the authorial intent, historical or political context. It should be completely based or it should be judged on the basis of some literary devices like a paradox, irony, and metaphor, symbol, etc. The text is always an autonomous text, but when we try to judge the text based on our perception or societal perception, so the text loses its true meaning before the readers. So, new criticism promoted that the text is autonomous and we should try to analyze the text through the use of literary devices or poetic devices. The second characteristics of new criticism is a close reading. So, close reading means the reading should be based on the judgment of literary devices like symbol, metaphor, and irony. If we want to analyze a text deeply, we should try to observe or to read that text closely. First of all, we should try to find out what kind of devices are being used in the text and what is the importance of these devices in the text. For example, paradox. Paradox is extensively used in poetry. So, paradox. If you know about paradox very well, definitely you will extract the meaning of the text easily. So, the text should be read closely and each line and each structure of the sentence should be eh, analyzed properly to find out the true meaning what the author wants to convey to us. And the third is organic unity. A new criticism says that there should be organic unity while judging a text. Organic without organic unity, it's become difficult to get a true meaning, and the meaning will be subjective. After this, the new critics and I want to tell you that new criticism, some important writers of new criticism. So the first important writer of the new criticism is I.A. Richards. I.A. Richards wrote two work that promoted new criticism largely. The first important work is the principle of literary criticism. That is a very important work if you want to understand the new criticism deeply. And the other is the uses of literacy. Sorry. The principle of literary criticism. So, this work promoted new criticism in English literature, and this work gave height to new criticism, and the reader got a new lens to how to judge a poem and how to judge a text. Another term that came in this theory is a intentional fallacy and affective fallacy. So, and it is also very important to understand both the theory, intentional and affective fallacy. And if we are unable to judge a work, it is called the fallacy. If we judge a work based on author's intention or based on our own experiences, it, it becomes fallacy. So fallacy means we are unable to get the true meaning of the text, or when we are unable to get true meaning of the anything, it is called a fallacy, because the fallacy is like just imagination, and it has no relation with the reality. So I am going to tell you about intentional fallacy in a very simple language. When we judge a work based on authorial intention, it is called intentional fallacy, because we are trying to judge a work based on author's background and his social, political, and economic situation. So, if we find, for example, if we find any work in which nature is discussed extensively, so we can say that this work is completely written by Wordsworth, and Wordsworth is called the writer of Wordsworth is called romantic writer, and he is called eh, the natural poet. So this poem must have been written by William Wordsworth, because in this work the natural beauty of the natural beauty is reflected on this text. So we can say that that this text is written by William Wordsworth. So this kind of theory created by us in our own imagination, it is called intentional fallacy. And if you talk about affective fallacy is a just opposite to intentional fallacy. In affective fallacy, when we try to judge a poem or a text based on our own emotion, based on our own society or experiences, such kind of error is called affective fallacy, because we are judging a text based on our emotion. So this kind of judging a text is a very subjective. So new criticism trying to give the objective meaning of the text, and it promoted the reader to analyze a text through the lens of new criticism. I am going to tell you about some important writers of new criticism. The first important writer that I have already mentioned in that video, A. Richards, Clint Brooks, Ellen Tate, and William Empson. William Empson said that the language of poetry is a paradox. So, and it is definitely true. If you read any poem, you will find paradoxical statements or paradoxical words. So, so are you understanding why the writer, why the poet use paradoxical statements? because paradoxical statements or paradoxical words add beauty to the work. So we can say that it beautifies the poem and the poem becomes effective because and the reader takes some time to understand that poem. So it makes the reader diligent. So judging a poem based on author intention is called intentional fancy, and when we judge a work based on our own experiences, it is called affective fancy. And you have understood that the purpose of new criticism is to bring objectivity in the text. But have you ever thought that if I am judging a poem based on my own experiences, and you are judging a poem based on your experiences, so in this scenario we never find the exact meaning of the text, and the meaning will be vacillating and navigating between the reality and the imagination. So if you judge a poem based on the theory provided by new criticism, and you start judging a work um, based on how literary devices are used in the text, and then gradually you will learn how to analyze a work. So in this video I have told you some basic concept or theories of new criticism. In the next video I will try to make some another video that will be based on literary theoretism. Okay, thank you.